I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror films. Each week, my co-host, Jeff Moore, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreyer, and I, here they come, we'll take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Yes, we are here to review 2 new movies. We'll dive into those here in just a second, but first, let me introduce the crew, starting off with Jeff Moore. Jeff, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I almost shaved.
Almost shaved.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so kind of you. So kind.
I almost got a haircut, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's introduce the rest of the crew. Up next is Crystal Cleveland. Crystal, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm just ready to confess.
Confess. Are you drinking blood?
That's what I was going to confess. Wow. Okay. Way to bury the lead. Way to bury the. Wait, now I sound like I'm over drinking. I'm like, way to bury the lead.
Sometimes it just happens. All right. Last but not least, rounding out the crew is the one and only Dave. Dave, how you doing, bud?
Hello. I'm good. How's everybody? Everyone staying safe?
Staying safe. And, it
Absolutely.
is so great to see you again, sir. I love seeing you now every week. We've been talking. No, listen. We've been talking 7 years, over 7 years.
Yeah,
you and I have been doing H&R. We really don't see each other that often. We've never met. We've done these videos occasionally, but now it's 2 weeks in a row we get to meet. And I can't express how thrilled I am. This is a lot of fun.
It is fun.
I do like this. I prefer it, honestly.
That's a whole new dimension to things, doesn't it?
And I hope everybody out there that watches and listens to us enjoys it as well. If you're listening to the podcast, what we're doing is we live stream this on YouTube, and we're going to be doing that every week. Eventually, once we get our footing and maybe we get some, we're a little more, we're all brave like Crystal is. We'll actually do this live and allow everybody else to see it too. Not ready for that just yet, but anyway, let's get down to brass tacks. What we are here to do is review a pair of films that are streaming video on demand. They're out there, and we have another Shudder double feature. Now, we love Shudder, and June they have an incredible selection of films, and we're going to be doing one just about every week. But we're doing one we missed in May, and we're doing one that comes out this week. So we are doing the Confessional. Yeah, we missed that one, and we had, and then we have a really interesting film. This is a documentary. We don't do a whole lot of documentaries, but when we do, we usually find them incredibly special. And this is called Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, and it is probably the most important horror film, in this case, a documentary about a horror film and its lead, Mark Patton, that you will see this year. It is a very emotional and incredible piece, and I can't wait to talk about it. I hope you guys liked it as much as I did.
I think I did, Doc. I think I'm in your court on this one.
Yeah. I was not. I didn't want to talk about it yet. I was waiting. That's why I didn't.
Well, we'll definitely get with it. So, all right. So, The Confessional is directed by Brad T. Gottfred and stars Lucas Adams, Paris Burke, Annalise Cochran, and of course, Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street is about Mark Patton and Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Do I have that right?
Yep.
I have that right?
You got it right.
That's coming to Shudder June 4th. And as we're recording, it comes out tomorrow. So if you catch this, this will likely be out there on June 4th, if not slightly before. And
this comes out faster, though.
Yeah,
it does. This speed, efficiency.
Yeah, we'll see. And Confessional is already available. So let's dive into it. We're going to start out with Confessional. You guys, I'm going to pick one of you at random. Who's going to talk about this first? I know you're all excited, lining up for this.
So excited.
Trying to point to Jeff. It's not working. It's hard to do. Yeah, there you go. It's easier for her.
All right. So we have The Confessional. The Confessional, like I said, premieres on May 28th on Shudder. So it's out there right now, and it's after the mysterious deaths of a colleague on the same night. 7 students are blackmailed into revealing what they know inside a hidden confession booth. Their confessions unveil the truth, not just about the deaths, but about the confessional as well. It's, this is a film. Okay, you see the poster there and you see all the headshots. Mm-hmm. For the most part, that's what we get for an hour and a half. I mean, there's occasionally something else, but not so much. So this is a very experimental film, and I appreciate it for that. But let's find out what our first impressions of Confessional may be. And Crystal.
I knew it because I spoke up. I was the first one to talk about it, and I knew I was going to be the first to freaking go under.
You have the words.
You got to do it. What is your first impression of Confessional?
Well,
drum roll, if you please.
This is hard. Okay, so I didn't know what to expect from this movie going in because I knew nothing about it. As we started to get into the movie, I realized very quickly that it was going to be a somewhat sophomoric film, if that's a nice way to put it. The subject matter is trying to be something more than what it is, and it fails in having any sort of impact for me, unfortunately. The cinematography is, well, quite frankly, boring, considering you have basically 3 cameras that are focusing on each person literally in the confessional. You have some LED lights working. I understand that they were trying to go for this, like, as you put it, experimental filmmaking, but unfortunately, it failed. It really did. They have a character who has passed away, who apparently served as the confessional for each of these characters. I suppose they decided to throw her all of their deepest, darkest secrets. For what reason? I don't know. They never really explain that, other than I guess she's easy to talk to. And then you have someone coming along who decides that they want all of these secrets exposed. And are some of the secrets troublesome? Sure. But they have literally no impact when they're delivered. The acting is okay. There were some better than others. Some of them were downright, honestly, I was a little disappointed. Some of them were great, and I really felt them. When they had the reveal, it was a little ridiculous. They had very cliche characters. The jerk is a total jerk, and he is misogynist, pig, and just loathsome. He's so loathsome that you have no care for him at all, and that therefore whatever happens to him you don't really care about. It's like, okay, whatever. The drug dealer, I was actually kind of personally offended. The way that they dressed her, I'm like, I would totally wear that outfit, but I don't sell drugs. It was just very little overdone, and like I said, sophomoric. I feel like is it a teen movie? I'm not sure who the audience was supposed to be here, but it felt like it was like a teen movie, maybe.
It might be. I mean, it's set in college, right? So
college isn't teen. That it's like for kids. I mean, for real. I was like, it's not good, guys.
It's not good.
It's
You're making me thirsty, Crystal.
Please
take a drink. All right, let's find out what the rest of the crew think. Oh, right.
My teeth are all red. I'm like,
you're scared. Stop. All right, up next is Jeff Moore. This should be exciting. Jeff, what is your first impression of Confessional?
Okay, at least once a year, I have this comment about a movie. Talk. Oh my God, it drove me nuts. There's no visual anything going on here. They try to liven it up with another screen, like a computer screen or TV screen in the wall sometimes, and these lights going on and off. But it's nothing. You're in a black room with soundproof tiles in it. I didn't buy the whole setup. I didn't I mean, who does that? Who goes to these confessional things? I got a text from an unknown person that said, "Show up, and you'll want to be there. Otherwise, I'm going to tell all the dirty things about you, I guess, or something." And then they're in there and they're told they have to tell the truth, or they will suffer consequences. And every one of them lies, I think. I mean, it was almost seemed. I shouldn't be this way, but it almost felt interminable. I just like talking. They were just impressed with the what they had to say, I guess. And I'm sorry, but I don't. You know me. Like once a year we get one like that, or maybe twice, and I just can't handle it. There's no visuals to go with it. There's no visual storytelling. That's just all kaboom.
All kaboom.
Is it blood,
well, that's no kaboom.
Level?
It's blah blah blah. Yeah.
It's kablah.
There's
blah,
no
blah.
kaboom. There's no kaboom. It fizzle.
There's going to be a lot to talk about why it fizzles here in just a little bit, but we still need to find out what Dave Dreher thought. Dave Dreher, where did you go, Dave?
You put on the Scream Queen trailer.
I did. Oh my goodness, we can't
Not
find
once,
Dave.
but twice.
Well, I don't know what's happening, Dave. Oh, I know what's happening. I am actually clicking on the wrong head of you.
It's the
clicking on his wrong head.
I did not say that. But Dave Dreher, what's your first impression of Confessional? My confessional is I'm a moron, but go ahead.
I actually think it's the director of this movie trying to keep me from saying these two words. It sucks. This is a bad one. I really, honestly, I can't add anything that my two proteges haven't already said. There's nothing here. There's honestly nothing to talk about. It's just this parade of people that come in and, and tell us nothing. It's talk, like Jeff says, and it's not well done. I have nothing else I can say about it. There was nothing there. It was a bad flick.
Just bad flick.
Just bad.
I'm going to second that. This film is
You mean force it?
Well, I guess I am forcing it. It is quite the disappointment. One of the things it does incredibly wrong is it tells, not shows, right? So show, not tell is a thing that works really well in films. And by design, this film isn't going to do that. So they didn't make up for that, right? So the dialogue isn't witty enough to present what they're talking about in a way that makes your mind picture everything. So a dialogue film works. I mean, we've seen films. Quentin Tarantino's done it a lot. Now he doesn't do it for the entire film, but there's been other films that have been just dialogue. I mean, My Dinner with Andre, right? But
yeah, or The Vast of Night. We just talked about The Vast of Night last week.
Oh,
exactly. Vast of Night has a lot of it where it's just dialogue, but the dialogue itself is crucial. The dialogue here is not that great, or at least not strong enough. I think I'm hesitant here to say this, but if it were presented more in a conventional way, the dialogue may have been enough to kind of give us what we wanted. You say what? No.
Here's the thing. Like I said, like it's ridiculous. I mean, these two people are in a confessional and they decide to have sex, knowing there's camera. Are you kidding me?
We're not going to do that. Yeah,
what the freak are we? What? And some dude is going to stick his dick in a glory hole in this. Are you kidding me? Are you really trying to sell this to me? Are you really trying to sell me that? Because that's ridiculous. It doesn't work because it doesn't work because it's not good. That's all. It's just. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I can't argue that.
I think that the concept could have worked actually, given the right script and the right director. I think it could work because it's kind of weird and strange and off-putting, but it didn't deliver anything.
Well, I like the concept of the characters and the secrets that they're holding as well. How they're revealed and in this format. Isn't the best way to present it. At the same time, I like that they tried. But
yeah, it's a try. hard.
But did they succeed? Yeah. So, Dave, we often ask you about the gore. And
what?
Right?
The what?
There is no gore in this. I mean, there is some blood, and there is something that suggests a lot of blood. Crystal kind of alluded to it, and it wasn't interesting at all. But
no,
this isn't going to interest gorehounds in the slightest.
No.
Isn't it? Right?
I honestly, other than the people involved in the film, I don't know who it would interest. I mean, seriously, I mean, there's not much there. I know it sounds horrible. I feel bad, but yeah, there honestly, there's nothing here. I don't know why this movie exists.
Oh, okay. Well, it was an experiment. It was but yeah, I'm going to shut up. Jeff, you know, this is probably made more for you than the rest of us. And then you, of course, have already given your opinion, but what went wrong? What is there anything in here that, like I'm suggesting could have been?
First off, it's more like a movie I'd like. You wound me deeply.
Oh, well, you know what I mean. It's more artistic, more experimental.
Yes. So,
and its intention, not its execution.
It's because we've got movies that take place on laptops, back and forth. But there's always a scene. There's something behind them. There's something happening, and this, by nature, the way they set it up, nothing can possibly happen. Once in a while, somebody walks into somebody else's confessional, but it's not really done in a way where we say, oh, well, that was cool. They just walk in and go, hey, why are you here? Well, same reason you're here. Nothing exciting happens. I guess I try a little bit towards the end where there are some reveals, but I don't care. And there's stuff that is revealed here that could have been
more intense,
done in a way that made it important, like the second movie this week did so much better on what that could be like, and this just sort of, I don't know. No, it sounded interesting, but really, when you think about it, it's going to be awful hard to make a movie with. If you put them all together, think about it. I'm going to shoot myself here if I say this the wrong way, so I won't. It's just one person on. They're not having dialogue. It's a whole bunch of individual monologues. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you guys were or not, but at one point I was kind of watching the clock that was up there showing it was recording.
Yes.
They were so, at one point it was like 12 hours, and then it showed somebody else and it was 2 hours. So I don't know what was going on there, but one thing I was thinking was, oh my God, if you sat there for 12 hours, you would have bashed your head into the wall and killed yourself by now.
Well, they
went out of sync. Yeah. Because the last girl, when she picked up her joint, remember when she picked up her joint and had blood on it? So the dude had been in there before her. So I'm assuming they were, but still,
the glory hole thing, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that where the blood came from?
Yeah.
So,
that's not.
I bet you can figure that out.
Sounds like a spoiler, but it kind of isn't, right?
But you, I mean, come on.
The other girl left and then came back, right? And then when she came back, because there was actually only one room. There wasn't multiple rooms, right?
There's something else that bothered me. Yeah, there was more than one. Rooms. Because the one girl, there had to be multiple rooms, right? Because the one girl, oh wait, you're right. She left and came back. Right. So it could have been coming back to the same room. Yep. Oh, touche. Okay, but still, something else that bothered me was that, OMG, I just totally forgot it. Oh, I know. It was, I know. Woo! Okay. Anyway,
don't drink blood live on camera.
So, what the camera shots and angles were different for each person, and that really bothered me. Like for the one girl, it was like where I am right now. That's where hers was, the drug dealer girl, and then for the other people. Sorry, excuse me about that. It was my dog. The other people, it was like close up. Did you notice that everyone was different? And if you had it set up, wouldn't it all be the same?
Yeah. Well, and another thing is they had the front back cameras and 2 side cameras,
Right. And then
they would people would turn and look at another camera and it would automatically cut to it.
I was like, hey, you're my side camera. I know, really bothered me too. Yeah. It's like, how are they so good with the cameras?
They read the script. So there's Crystal, while you're talking about the cameras and the drug dealer, there is a time when we get a backlit screen, and occasionally we get that with others, but usually it's their secrets. But this one's actually a communication between the mysterious person. Did that work for you at all? Did you like when it felt a little more immediate?
Sure. I felt nothing, unfortunately. I mean, I was like, oh, she's the one. Cool. None of it made sense. None of what happened made sense as far as her whole rationale and her reasoning and why she. So I won't give this away. Why she did what she. I'm like, none of this really makes sense. Not ultimately. If you love someone, unless you're absolutely crazy. And I don't think she was absolutely crazy, because she seemed like she knew exactly what she was going to do to whom and how. And she honestly didn't do hardly much. She only messed with Major Dick. That's really it. The rest of them got off easy.
That really worked. Oh my God.
It does work. His name
is Major. Yeah.
So one final question, and Dave, what's one film that you talk about often? I believe it's you, where the roommate wants to be just like the roommate that she moves in with. What is it?
Single white female.
Single white female. Yes. Thank you. And the character you're talking about, I thought had that feel to it, that she wanted to become the character that died. Did you feel that? Am I wrong?
Well, I don't know that you're wrong. I don't know that
inquiring minds want to know.
I don't think I picked up on that vibe, but quite frankly, I was so completely bored by this. It wouldn't surprise me. I kind of tuned it out a little bit. I mean, I hate to admit that, but there really wasn't much to keep your attention.
No, there isn't.
So I would find my mind wandering frequently. So
that's a good point, Dave, because by the time they got around to giving you an actual reveal, you knew it a long time before that.
Right.
And they're talking around it so much that you're just going, come on.
Get to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts. And favorite scene for Confessional. Crystal, you're up first.
So I don't recommend this film, unfortunately. It's on Shudder, though. I mean, if you have Shudder, might as well give it a watch. Just know that as you're watching it, I said don't watch it, so you don't blame me if you watch it. I'm just saying. But if you do watch it, since we've trashed it so much, you might think it's better than what it really is. So that's a positive. Yeah.
Have we lowered
you might think it's better than what it really is.
Oh my gosh.
Like you said, it's so bad. The expectations are so low, it can only go up. I mean, that's the truth. I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Oh, that's better than I thought.
Well, I was going to give it a 1. And then I was like, it's shot well. I didn't mind the sound. Just making a movie, I'm going to give you a 1 if you complete it and get it through. And so I'll give it a little bump there.
Okay.
Because I'm feeling generous tonight. I don't know. There must be something in the air.
Right. So certainly you have a favorite scene. Right?
Of course, it's the Porky's Glory Hole. Like that's the only
Porky's Glory.
Obviously.
Oh my God!
I was like, really? This is okay. All right, you go, boy. And practically, we have the same thing.
Oh my God! And when her face is like, never mind. We just won't spoil any more of that. All right, Jeff Moore. Sir, you're up next. What's your final thoughts? Your score, favorite scene for Confessional? Ba-dum.
I can't recommend it either, other than you might take a look at it just out of curiosity, because it's a different idea. I'm going 1.5, 2. My extra 0.5 point is, I don't know. I kind of liked Carrie, the sister.
I agree.
I did want her to anyway. So that, you know, there was a couple of characters that were okay, and you know, the actors are doing as good as they can with what they got. I think it's hard enough to, especially when the stuff's all cut in out of sequence. I just, it's interesting to me why they made that decision. Favorite scene is I'm going to take the glory hole.
Oh, yes! We're going to double up.
What else? I mean, what else can you possibly pick?
You know what? That's fair. That's fair.
All
like
right.
I said, I was like, what else? What do we got? What else?
I can't argue with that. Can't argue
Yeah.
with that. Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah.
wow. All right. Well, Dave Trayer, sir, what is your final thoughts? Your score, favorite scene for? This is going to be a short one. I suspect.
Yeah.
For Confessional.
I'm not going to be so generous. I'm just giving it a 1. This one pretty much fails on every level something can fail. It's not really well directed, not particularly well acted, not really well shot. There's really just nothing here. There really isn't. It almost plays like a proof of concept film. You know, I mean, I just don't get it. Favorite scene, really the glory hole thing is the only thing. Although there is that one time they turn on a pink light on the left-hand side.
Ooh, that's pretty.
That was pretty good. So yeah, there's nothing here. It gets a 1. Avoid this one unless somebody's got a gun to your head and is making one.
Oh wow, wow, that's telling. Yeah, I'm not going to say much different. It's an experimental film, like you said. You know, a proof of concept is actually probably closer than you think. I would imagine it feels that way for me as well. If I give them a 1.5, it's because of that they obviously had a goal in mind and they achieved that goal. You know, we're just barking about how successful that achievement was, right? And
True.
And there's certainly things in here that the filmmakers can learn from. I don't think they were. I mean, it certainly didn't feel amateurish in the quality of it. It was lit well. It the acting is better than often that you get. You know, a lot of dialogue that, monologues in this case, that people are giving, and Crystal, you might be able to speak to that, but that's harder than dialogue when you're you're basically talking literally to a camera that is behind the wall, so it's not even, you're not even reacting to anybody. So there's a lot to give them credit for here. The problem is that it kind of trashes some of the laws of screenwriting and storytelling, intentionally in many cases, but like I suggested early on, you got to pick up the slack and even it out, and that doesn't happen here. So I said a 1.5, right? So 1.5. I think that's fair. Favorite scene. Well, I'm going to try to find one that isn't. Before I do, there's a subtext of Fight Club here.
Oh yeah, there is Fight Club. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like this big reveal, and it's
girls and boys too.
Yeah, and okay.
I think honestly,
CFB cockfight back, cockfights back.
I really didn't want to get that far into it, but yeah.
But wait, to be honest, I think this movie was trying to be a very heavy feminist movie, but it didn't.
Definitely,
it didn't come off. It didn't work. It didn't. Because I get conceptually how they were showing. Oh, you're a rapist, and oh, you're this, and but it was just way too obvious and in your face and silly. It came off as silly instead of serious.
Yeah. So I'm going to choose, just to be different, is the scenes with the drug dealer and our secret reveal, and the camera work and things they're doing there, because there's some multiple layers going on, and there's actual exchange with somebody, except for, because before that, it's just, text, right? They're reacting to text. There's no actual interaction until that scene. So I'm just going to go there. I like that character, the drug dealer, a lot more than you did, Crystal.
Oh, no, I liked her. I just thought she was cliche. I'm like, oh, okay, because she's like a little punk, a little gothy. She's the drug dealer, right? Of course she is.
Yeah. But she was fun, and she did a good job, right?
With her fishnets. Yeah, she was hot too. She was hot. I thought she was beautiful. Actually, she was definitely one of my favorites. There was only one that I was like, oof.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. We don't have to get into that. All right, so there it is. Confessional. It is playing on Shudder now. Up next is
Woo!
Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this is one I've been looking forward to seeing. Yeah, the claws are out. Mark Patton is an interesting fellow. There's a crazy history with him and this film, and the result of not only this film, but the 80s in itself, what happened, and especially gay culture around this time, and how the Hollywood treated that. And then of course you got AIDS all at the same time. And, we have this young man, Mark Patton, who's looking to become a star. And with this film had very well achieved it. He's leading this film, and it didn't quite work out. And it's a very interesting and important story. I believe. I was able to meet Mark Patton at a convention recently, and he's a delightful fellow and really does engage with his fans, and he talks about that in this film. And I mean, I don't even think we really talked about Elm Street much at all. We talked about him getting back into film work, because at the time he had just done a supporting role in one of my friend's films, and we chatted about that a lot, and him being back into it, and his work that he was doing, because he was getting into what he talks about in the film. So this is it's a documentary about him, about this film, and about the reaction to Freddy's revenge. And it is I'm bearing the lead in a way, but you're going to find that I think all four of us are going to appreciate this film on various levels, and I can't wait to hear. So let's start out with our first reaction of Scream Queen. I'm trying to get things to work. Hang on. Oh. All right, there we go. Hey,
desperately stalling for time, right?
I was. Learn what you do. Well, learn what you burn. All right, we are going to talk about Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. It is playing on June 4th, beginning on Shudder. So check it out. We are going to give our first impressions, and Dave Dreher, you're up first. I'm really curious about you, because you love these documentaries about films and actors.
I do.
I really want to know what your thought about this film is.
I really, really found myself moved by this film. I'd heard about it, obviously, and I knew of its existence, but I didn't know much else about it. I remember going to see Nightmare on Elm Street 2 in the theater, and again, I never picked up on the gay subtext of it. I think I was just so wrapped up in seeing Freddy, I mean, I remember seeing it in the theater, and I didn't come out of it thinking it was a particularly homophobic or gay film. I really didn't. But then, around the conventions, you'd hear this stuff, and then you look at it again, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see it now. But it never tainted the film for me in any way, shape, or form. But this biography, documentary, whatever you want to call it, was really amazing. I had no idea that this film had basically killed Mark Patton's career. I had no idea he was a big hit on Broadway, and he'd starred with Cher in a Robert Altman play. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know he'd become a recluse, and they found him on a dirt street in Mexico. I'm like, what? This is crazy. Really this film, more than anything else, is his quest to re-find himself, in his place in the world. And I just found myself really, really moved by it. I actually, I'm friends with him on Facebook. After I watched it this afternoon, I sent him a Facebook message, and he actually answered back. I just told him, I said, this film kind of touched my heart a little bit. I just wanted to thank you for being brave enough to tell your tale. And he answered back and thanked me. This is a great movie. I think it's an important movie, Doc. You said it better than anybody else. It's an important film. It's a film especially now with what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. Prejudice and bigotry is prejudice and bigotry. It doesn't matter if it's against gays or blacks or what it is. And I don't know. This seems like an incredibly poignant film for this time. And kudos to Mark for making through and being where he's at now. He really seems to have come out much better for this weird journey he found himself on.
Yeah, it kind of exposes that bigotry and prejudice is all based in fear.
Yeah,
it really is. Well, let's find out what the rest of the crew think. Jeff, you're up next, sir. What is your first impression of Scream Queen.
I like this a lot too, and until fairly recently, I really didn't know about any of this stuff. I'm not a big, I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm not a big franchise guy. After I see one, and sometimes maybe two, I kind of quit watching them because most of the time it doesn't feel like there's something new, and I'm not usually that enamored in a particular character. So I never saw this until when we were going to watch this. I decided I need to watch this.
That's the first time you watched Nightmare on Elm Street 2?
It is. It is. I've seen 3 and I've seen 10, and that's the only ones I've seen other than
The first one. Right?
10's the space one, right?
Oh no, that's Jason.
Oh, that's Jason 10. Never mind.
That's okay.
Yeah. I saw the was it New Revenge or something, the one that had Heather Langenkamp in it as a
New
adult.
Nightmare.
New Nightmare. Okay, so that goes to show you. I loved the first one, but anyway, this is an important film, and I think what happened to Mark Patton is really kind of tragic and kind of depressing that people can be that way without thinking about what they're doing to the object of their, or the subject of their comments. I think it's heartbreaking at first, and then it's heartwarming. He's so excited about having the movie, and there's just some stuff in this that I don't get. I could see how, in general, people, wouldn't have got the subtext right away, and even though it seems pretty upfront. But it was a different time, right? We hadn't had anything like, I don't know, Brokeback Mountain, right? So it just wasn't something that was that much in the forefront in cinema. Although he did play a gay character in the, what is the name of that movie that he was with? Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, or something like that. So I think there's just so much to say about this. I'm not sure what to say. I was very impressed with how he worked through this, and it basically devastated him for years, to the point of where the only way he could get along was just totally to survive within it, was seems like to totally remove himself from that world, to where he had this little shop where he did some art and sold some stuff in Mexico. And it wasn't until they contacted him for this 30-year reunion thing that he even realized what was going on and how big the movie had gotten, especially in the gay community. So it's really cool that that's there for the gay community. And I think it's very cool, the story that he had to tell and the example that he set on how he's come forward and worked through the things and the resentments and the bullying that he went through. And he, that happens in the film too, some of that. It's still surprising to me how it's interesting at how the director said he had no idea that there was gay subtext, whereas Robert Englund and one of the other co-stars in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Robert, is it Russ? I don't have his name up here now, but anyway, they said the minute I read the script, I knew it. So it's interesting how removed they are. If they hadn't, I guess maybe hadn't been in that world or hadn't known anybody, but he didn't seem to know it either, Mark Patton. And there are choices that he made that he could have been directed differently to do that would have changed it. And so I don't know if who knew it or what. The writer seems to be the one that knew it to start with and didn't tell anybody. And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of ramble, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was inspiring.
Yes, inspiring is a great word for it. Crystal Cleveland, what is your first impression of Scream Queen?
So it's so sad. So I don't identify as straight. so it doesn't really matter, but I'm just throwing that out there. And I grew up like 16 years old. I was going to all the gay bars and loved the drag queens, and I loved just the whole accepting environment. And Mark grew up in was coming out or was in an era where, God, I just can't even imagine how horrible it must have been to be a lead male in Hollywood and be dealing with such hatred. When it showed the rioting in the streets and stuff, it so parallels right now. And I'm like, yes, see, this is why sometimes violence happens. Sometimes violence is the only thing that people listen to. You know, I mean, it's so sad and so unfortunate that he had to live through this. And I didn't know a lot about what had happened to him. Of course, Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favorite franchises. So, of course, I'd seen the movie. And I have to say that with the rest of them, it's not my favorite. But it wasn't anything to do with, gosh, now I'm looking at it with completely different eyes. I'm like, it is so amazing. The little butt thing. I'm like, no wonder why I liked it as a kid. I love that stuff. But it was just because I felt like Freddy, there wasn't enough Freddy. And it just felt strange. You know, it didn't feel like the Dream Warriors came after that. And God, the group, it was the group. There was no real group here. You know how, like with Nancy, you have Nancy and her friends, and they're so close and they're so tight. He had such a strange relationship with the other male lead. Like were they friends? Were they not friends? So that was strange. And then the relationship with his girlfriend was weird. So it felt like he felt like a loner more than a group going after Freddy. And I think that's why a lot of people got behind the other movies more. I don't know. That's just my analysis of it. But his lover, his boyfriend, who was that guy? Who was his lover? Someone kind of famous, right?
It was on Dallas. Right?
Yeah, somebody from Dallas, yeah.
Yeah. So someone, I just, and then of course him getting HIV AIDS. And during that time, my heart breaks for him, honestly. But I like that he was able to come back. I'm so thankful, actually, that they were able to find him and bring him back, because I feel like when the writer apologized to him, it was really what he needed that entire time. It was like a weight was lifted off of him. I do think he, unfortunately, put a lot of things onto the writer that weren't necessarily something that the writer should have taken the heat for. I think it was everything that had gone on with him. Like, I don't think he wanted to blame his lover or the world or anyone else for what was happening. I think he kind of put it all on him, which is fine. Sometimes you need someone to like embody that kind of hate for you. But I think the moment he said, I'm sorry, like, it was almost like you could just see it. And he's like, that's all I ever wanted. And it's got a uplifting ending, man, just to live through all of that. And so, but how awesome that he's doing well. And, he got the cocktail and like, he's kicking ass, he looks great. And he's got such a good head on his shoulders. I just love how he's like, people don't want to know about your problems. They just want to see the movie. He's so right. If you've handled people before, it's like, come on. This is what you do. You smile, you give them what they want. You sign those autographs till your hand is tired, whatever it takes. He's a very intelligent dude. And I really, really hope the best for him. I'm glad that he seems to be doing better.
Yeah. This film is important because it shows the human side of it. It shows the Hollywood side of it, how it affected, how it showed the fear and the results of it. It shows.
Oh, the kissing. Do you remember? That was crazy to me. How they're like, we're not going to kiss anyone unless they get tested. I'm like, what?
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. That was something crazy.
There's all kinds of things, the loneliness that, came along with it. Because he literally, got his dream. This is what we all are looking for. Everybody has their dream they're looking for, and he achieved it. And then boom, it was taken away. I mean, that's, it's part of the documentary. And that's not the worst of it. He's a survivor. And then to come through the surviving and hear people's reaction to the film, a decade later, and then he just says, "Okay, that's it," and he disappears, and then they would come back, but find out everything is entirely different, right? But not right because the internet is the same. The internet.
I know. Yeah, that was now times, right? Like all
right,
the
that was recent,
times,
recent.
all those comments.
Yeah, the trolling. Yeah, in the last decade or so. So when he, and that hurt him, and it would, right? Because they weren't saying it. The comments they were talking about weren't talking about the film. They were talking about him or the character or him as the character. Not separating the two, and you could see where he would, connecting the dots from all that reaction to what the writer had been saying is not a difficult chain of events. It's a pretty straight path. But yeah, there's a lot of other hurt mounted on top of that, like you were suggesting. But
yeah,
so I didn't think that they were going to go there. I didn't think they were going to go that far. It felt like, because he was at the convention down in Florida where everybody but the writer showed up, right? And so I was kind of like, okay, we're never going to, that's not going to be the confrontation. That's not the thing here. And they go there, and I appreciate it. So, and it's awkward in the way it should be awkward. It's not awkward in a presentational sense, but it's awkward between these two people. You feel the uneasiness of their speaking, and there's the defensiveness that on both sides, and it's reality, it's real, and the result of it is quite touching. Mark Patton's a survivor. He's gone through it all, and to come out and not only survive all the trials and the heartbreak and literally the attack on his life from the diseases, leukemia as well, right?
Oh, tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis. Yeah. Sorry, thank you for correcting me. But on top of AIDS, which in hindsight was actually what saved him, because it delayed him getting the cocktail. So the cocktail didn't kill him. It actually saved his life. And so there's all the stories, and I don't want to give it all because you need to experience this film and experience the story. So the filmmakers did a great job on top of this. Assembling all the footage, assembling the different actors, from the movie and from his life, and those who are at conventions and are outsiders, and bringing that perspective in as well, both positive and negative, to give you the full picture. It's even though this film is very, very much a single direction, it doesn't ignore the negativity and not present the negativity, although it thankfully doesn't go really hateful with it, but enough to kind of get the picture. And because that would just pull away from what's important. What's important is Mark Patton and him coming out of this and not only surviving, but finding an audience that adores him, fans that adore him, and changing the story. Right. My favorite bit is when he's talking about, when he first looked at the internet, it was all about him and Jesse and how, air quotes, gay the film is. And now when you look him up, it's all about his activism and, and him in a positive light. And that, he changed the story. And even that alone is remarkable. So this is a very important film for a lot of reasons. Not only what happens to him, but just being a human, and not giving up. I mean, because you certainly can't. I mean, he made a statement that all his friends are dead.
Yeah.
And that was heartbreaking. So there isn't really much to kind of dive into as a way of a normal film. This is it's about a single film, a single actor, and the events that surround it. So it's going to kind of difficult to kind of get into the weeds like we normally do, like we just did with the previous film and what we've done last week and the weeks before. So I guess I'm going to go around one time, and I kind of want to know what really important to me is what about this film spoke to you? Just one thing. what spoke to you? Just anything about this film that that you took away from it, Dave?
I would say it'd probably have to be just be true to yourself. Don't be afraid to be who you are, because eventually you will find your tribe, and your tribe will gather around you. And Mark's found his tribe now. I think he's in a great place right now. I was really moved by this whole story. I really was. I had no idea any of this was going on. So the man is definitely a survivor. But yeah, that would be my biggest takeaway, was just don't ever stop. Don't ever stop being who you are.
Yep. Jeff, what about you, sir?
There's lots of things, but the one little way he laid it out, I think it was towards the end, about how, everything came when he could handle it.
Yeah.
That from his point of view, God made him a star, but then that was taken away. And then if he would have, I think it was something to do with the medications weren't developed yet, that he couldn't take them because of the tuberculosis. And that's good, because he would have died if he took them then. And he went on through a whole long string of things until now. You come back to the 30th anniversary of the film, and all of a sudden now he's able to carry a message and has a mission, of helping people and working with them, and being an example. So it was very impressive.
Crystal, any one thing you want to mention?
Well, I think, there's a lot about this movie I think that is good for people, and lots of good things to kind of see, as far as, sometimes it's timing for everything. Like they were talking about how I loved his attitude. I loved how he was so, I hate that I lost this time, but it happened for reasons, and here's where I am, and he's healthy. I mean, like he said it would have been very difficult to fight this in the public eye, which he would have been in the public eye had he stayed. And I think that he has such a strength of character. Yeah, did you hear the car go? Yeah,
he was drag racing.
Yeah, he has such a strength of character that is pretty amazing. And I also feel like the message is, no matter how far we fall, we can always come back up again. I mean, it's such a story of hope, really. And I kind of feel like it's don't give up. I mean, even if it's like, 30 years later, still, I think he did amazing in the film. I did rewatch the film again as well, and he did such an amazing job in it. And I'm like, gosh, he had so much talent. It's unfortunate that, that this scared him off, from pursuing his dreams. But yeah, I don't know. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Yeah. This film has a lot. It has, like you said, don't be a dick. It speaks to that. It speaks to human nature, survival, the comeback story, love, true love. Because he found his own peace, his own love. He found a new love. It's about loss, about dreams. It's about all kinds of things. There's a lot of subtext going through this, and it's all woven together, and it's really quite beautiful. And but it's presented in a way that you really feel what he went through, and I found that quite remarkable. That you felt the oppression, you felt the fear that was surrounded, you felt the fear of what the world was facing at the time, against oppression type, when those who were actually experiencing AIDS and experiencing the oppression. So you get that side of the story, and you get and then you get you get the reactions of the fans, and you find that the horror community is really a strong community, when because they are very supportive. Now they can with all internet things, there are the trolley dicks out there, right?
Mhm.
And that's going to happen. But I find that the horror community is in general not that person, not that.
Generally, I honestly, one of the reasons why I love the horror community so much is because I feel like they're generally more accepting. I feel more accepted when I'm at horror conventions. I feel more normal. I feel like it's more okay to be myself. It's rare that I feel uncomfortable around my horror loving fiends.
Fiends. Yes, in the most positive way that word is being used. All right, so let's wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts. You don't have to elaborate too much. I think we poured our final thoughts out throughout the entire review. Go ahead and give it a score. It's not going to be surprising, and we kind of already talked about a favorite scene. It's more like what we touched upon. So you can elaborate on a wrap up and get us give us an idea of how much you recommend this particular film. And Dave, you are up first.
I'm going to give this a 4. I think it's a very important film. Definitely see it. As you said, Doc, we've kind of pretty much said all that needs to be said about this. Although I did enjoy the and this has nothing to do per se with Mark, but some of the we do get quite a bit of behind the scenes stuff. And when that whole scene with Freddy and Jesse, and they were doing, Robert was talking about the whole thing with using the glove, and he wanted to insert the blade into Jesse's mouth, and the makeup guy comes over and tells Mark, "Don't let him stick that blade in your mouth. It's going to look like you're giving a blowjob to Freddy Krueger. Don't do that." Yeah, it's just like, the hell. But it seemed Robert had kind of picked up on on the subtext that the writer had put in there, which I felt added strength to Mark's whole point on this whole thing was that he was upset because this Dave, whatever his last name was, I can't remember, was Dave something, had written the character that way. And when the shit hit the fan and people started bashing it for being too gay, the writer said, "Oh, it wasn't me. It was the actor. The actor made it that gay. I didn't write it gay." But with Robert saying that at that point in the film, saying that, he was reading between the lines and he'd caught this, I felt it really gave credence to Mark's point. And Mark was just looking for the writer to own up to it, because Mark's just saying, "Hey, I just played what you wrote on the paper," and he got that at the end of the day. When we got to the end of the movie, he got what he was looking for, and we all live happily ever after, right? But it was great to kind of watch that, all kind of play out full circle. So, it's just important. There's so much, and we could talk about this film for hours, and I think just keep remembering things that, that came up in it. But at the end of the day, great film. Love Mark Patton. I've never met him at a convention. I'm hoping to one day soon, because I would like to shake his hand and thank him for having the guts to stand up and make this.
Yes, I agree with that. Jeff Moore, sir, what is your final thoughts here? Give us a spiel.
Yeah, people need to see this, I think, because I this is one of those behind the scenes, in the cloud kind of stuff that I don't pay a lot of attention to. I don't track the snarky trolling fans on the internet, but to see how painful they can be, how many problems they can cause, and to see how he worked through it. Again, I'll just say it was inspiring. I'm gonna go 4.25, but I think it's an important film for people to see.
I concur, sir. Crystal, the final thoughts.
Obviously, I think everyone should watch this. I think, God, it just really brings up all this stuff that every person, sexuality, it's just crazy what they all went through. And it really makes me want to do a lot of research on that. Just seeing this brought back some really painful memories of watching the riots now. And so it's like, God, you know, I hope we've come further than that. But then you see those comments and it's a little shocking. But that's why I think people need to watch it. People need to see what that does to a person when they see that and read that and feel that. And, you know, hate hurts. And I think it's also, like I said, it's sad and it, you know, you go through it, but it is uplifting. I really like his spirit. And I think that people will be able to relate to him. And God, I just hope he gets and finds everything he wants. You know, I hope he has like a happy ending here. It seems like he's got a cool boyfriend and stuff. So that's cool, you know, and very supportive and didn't know. I think that's very sweet. And damn, they were probably really enjoying their life in Mexico, actually. Right now you're in America. Oops, sorry. You know, I'm like, are you sure you want to be here now with everything going on? But I'm going to give it at least a 4. I almost want to go high. I'll give it a 4.25 as well, just because I really think that people should watch. It's really fast. It felt really fast to me. It felt like it was over like that. And I think it's important for horror fans to I think it kind of gives you an idea too of like behind the scenes. He really didn't realize what was happening when he was shooting this. And I think we all need to, you know, maybe not make such quick judgments about, I mean, I think any man who had played that role, whether he was gay or straight, would have come off in the same way. I mean, like it was
the dance, right?
I mean, you know, was it maybe a little more? Maybe, but it was the writer. Yeah, has some, and luckily he took some ownership of that. But yeah, it's just watch it.
Yeah, I concur. Just watch this. This is, in my opinion, very important. Historically, emotionally, in a human way, and it really presents. It's at times it's very tragic tale, but yet at the end, thankfully for Mark, that you know it is an uplifting message at the end. You know, he's found a positive a life and has come back and survived, and that's remarkable in and of itself. But you know, we're talking at least 30 years. It actually starts, you know, his story starts presented in the film is before that. And it does give some perspective to the culture of the time, before, during, and after, and then when he returned, and there are a lot of positive things in this, and I respect that, and I thought the filmmakers did a great job representing it. I think Mark is a wonderful human being, and is what he's doing currently in today with his activism and stuff is. I can't thank him enough for, you know, being that person now, and he is a remarkable person to meet, and he really is very kind. He talks about it in the documentary, and he's very much like that, but he's also very authentic in that. And some people do that but aren't authentic. I don't know, Crystal, if you can back me up on that, but you know, you can have different experiences with different people.
Oh yeah. Depends on their mood too.
Depends on a lot of things. I mean, I'm not going to trash people. I mean, even those that have maybe the most, problematic. What's the word I'm having for reputation, right? We can speak to a couple people that, you know, actually they're not that way. You know, they're really nice. It just happens to be this encounter or that encounter that gets blown up.
Yeah, Tom Savini, he had such a bad reputation. But
yeah, he literally showed us
when
that
you
book,
see
right?
the biography, when you see his documentary, you're like, oh, he's clearly not an asshole. I mean, poor dude.
So this film, check it out. It's on Shudder. It's free, and it's I think you might actually be very touched by this film. It is quite heroic film in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Did I give it a score? 4?
Agreed.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
4.5. 4.5.
Nice.
All All right. Well, there's our reviews for Confessional and Screen Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. I have to say that slowly because I always mess it up if I don't, but thankfully I didn't. I messed up a lot of things, but not that, thankfully. If you have, I'm going to say it now, but if you had a eagle eye during the beginning of the story, you'll notice that there was a typo in the little thing at the bottom.
Yeah, the 2 eyes and Nightmare.
Yep, I fixed it
I
while we were doing it. Yeah.
I thought, was it spelled that way? I
No,
honestly,
it wasn't. It's because I did it, and that's what happened. Yeah, the films are both on Shudder, so it's a Shudder double feature. We like doing those. Thank you, Shudder, for bringing these films to us.
Yeah, Shudder.
We hope you enjoy them. We'd love to hear from you. We would like to get some feedback. If you go to gruesomemagazine.com, there's a great way to do feedback there. You can feedback at gruesomemagazine.com is the way to email us. You can find us on Facebook. You can leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube below. And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this trailer. What the hell am I talking about? This entire review. If you like it, please click the like. Obviously, I need it because and if you click the bell, I don't know where I'm going, but if you click the bell, you'll get notified. So all that spiel that they do. I hope you like
Did we have feedback? Did we have feedback? Do we have some?
We
do have one
feedback. Yeah. Do we want to dive into that? Jeff, are we prepared for that?
I am almost. Give me a couple seconds here.
All right. So,
I'm sorry. I feel like I thrust something.
No, I was actually in the process of looking that up. I thought I'd pasted it over, but I didn't. So,
all right, Jeff, what is our feedback for this week?
Well, the feedback was just a short comment about Becky, and listener Robert Wilson said, "I love your love of movies. Great show."
Yay.
Thank you, sir.
Very nice.
The one with Becky and Dreamland. So yeah, we appreciate that. I'm glad it shows through.
Yeah, I see it in you three every week. So thank you for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we might get some Confessional.
Oh, well, yeah, I have a film.
You guys are horrible.
Yeah, we might have lost some friends there. I hope they understand.
Confessional was amazing.
Yeah.
Mm.
The knives in our back are deep. All right. Jeff, Dave, Crystal, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Doc.
You're welcome. Well, thank you.
I don't know why I waved too soon, because then I'm like,
no, wave all you want. All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.